He hadn't meant to sleep at the gate, but when the world forgets your name, and exhaustion creeps into your bones like winter into cracked windows, a hard airport chair starts to feel like mercy. His coat was too thin, his shoes scuffed and damp from the storm outside. The girl at the counter hadn't looked up when he asked about standby. She'd just pointed, eyes glazed from saying the same sentence too many times. So he sat, a single father with a carry-on bag full of little shoes, socks that no longer fit, and one carefully folded drawing-faded crayons on printer paper, the kind that makes your chest ache when no one's calling you dad tonight. He had mailed his last check toward her braces. She didn't know. She just smiled on the video calls, gap-toothed and sweet, always calling him Daddy, like the word still held shape. He hadn't told her about the eviction notice, or the 2 weeks of sleeping in the truck, or the job he'd just lost because he couldn't afford the fuel to get there, He just kept showing up on time for her voice. That was enough until tonight. Tonight, he stood in line behind businessmen, with polished shoes and clipped voices, watching his name never appear on the board. When it did, it was too late. The gate had closed. The woman at the counter smiled apologetically, the kind of smile that doesn't mean anything. I'm sorry. Sir. He wasn't sure when he last cried, but he felt something flicker in his throat. A tightening. He nodded, stepped away, and sat near a plastic plant that smelled faintly of lemon-scented cleaner. Around him, the airport was all soft beeping, and murmurs and boarding calls that never said his name. A child screamed in the distance. A woman laughed into her phone. The world moved forward like it didn't even glance in his direction. He looked down at the drawing in his bag again. 2 stick figures, one tall with a triangle of red for a heart, one small with a crooked smile and stars for eyes. Above them, in bright pink marker, me and Daddy, always. He swallowed hard. Behind him, the rain struck the glass hard and cold. Planes shimmered under tall lights like tired birds waiting to be noticed. And then, boots, he heard them. Before he saw her. Heavy, careful, walking like someone who carried too much in silence. She stood not far from the gate tall, soaked in uniform, staring at the screen like it owed her something. She looked young, but her eyes were older than the years on her face. He watched, unblinking. There was something in her stillness, a kind of ache he recognized. The quiet way her shoulders didn't quite rise all the way. The silence around her like a wall that had been built and rebuilt too many times. She stepped forward, spoke softly to the attendant. Something passed between them, then the soldier nodded once, turned, and found a seat on the far end of the terminal. Her duffel hit the floor with a soft thud. She sat there like stone. No one offered a seat closer. No one looked long enough to ask. The terminal buzzed with motion, but she was stillness in the middle of it. Her hands rested on her knees. Her eyes scanned nothing. He watched her, and something in him began to ache louder than before. He didn't know her name. Didn't know where she'd come from or where she was going. But he recognized that weight on her shoulders. And the silence around her, because he wore it too, and somehow, in a world that had stopped looking, 2 people who'd been invisible. For too long, sat a few rows apart, both, pretending they weren't waiting for someone to see them. The airport buzzed, the rain kept falling. And in the silence between flights, something began to stir. Not loudly, just enough to be felt. Like the warmth of a crayon drawing in a father's pocket. Or the sound of boots that say, I've been through something too. He didn't speak to her that night, not yet. Some moments aren't meant to be rushed, especially when silence says more than words. He watched her from a distance. And when she closed her eyes, it wasn't to sleep, it was to rest something deeper. Like she was setting down a burden just for a breath. He knew that feeling by morning. The terminal smelled of burnt coffee and tired perfume. The lights never dimmed in airports, but somehow the gray dawn bled through the windows, turning the edges of everything soft and quiet. The kind of hour that doesn't belong to anyone. Not yet. He walked to the vending machine and stared too long at the choices. He had $2, asterisk, it felt wrong to spend them. But it also felt wrong to let her keep sitting there without something warm in her hands, so he pressed the buttons. Coffee, black, cheap, hot. When he brought it over, she didn't look up right away. Just stared ahead, still as stone. Asterisk, he set it on the seat beside her, said nothing. Walked away. Asterisk 3 rose back. He heard her murmur something under her breath. It might have been a thank you. It might have just been breath, but she drank it. That was enough. Later that morning, the gate opened. A new attendant stood behind the counter, young, sharp-voiced, all procedure. She called first-class boarding, then priority, then military. But when the soldier stepped forward, the woman raised her hand. Asterisk, sorry, ma'am. Your seat was reassigned. You're not on the list. The soldier froze. It was slight. Barely a pause, but he saw it. Asterisk saw the way her mouth tightened, the way her fingers gripped the strap of her duffel just a little too hard. She didn't argue. She just nodded, as if it was the thousandth time someone had said, "Not for you." He rose. Didn't plan to. Asterisk didn't know what he was doing. Asterisk. But some moments rise in the bones before they rise in the mind. Some moments are shaped like his daughter's voice when she says, "You're my hero, Daddy." He walked straight to the counter. The attendant looked up, startled. "Sir?" Asterisk, he didn't speak loud. But his voice didn't shake. Asterisk, she served this country. She earned that seat. I'll give mine. Asterisk, you're not on the flight either, sir. Asterisk, I know, he said. But someone needs to stand for her. It was quiet then. Too quiet for an airport. Asterisk, the kind of silence that gathers like a tide pulling people into it, whether they mean to look or not. Asterisk, the attendant blinked. Sir, that's not how this works. Asterisk, a voice behind them. What's going on? Asterisk, a man in a blazer, airline logo. A higher up. One of those people who moves like everything around them is a problem to solve. Asterisk, the attendant explained quickly, sharply, impatient. Asterisk, the blazer man looked at the soldier, then at the dad, and something shifted. The soldier said nothing. Just stood still, like always, like someone who's used to being overlooked, but the dad didn't move either. And that stillness, hers, the quiet they shared, suddenly felt like protest, like dignity. Asterisk, the blazer looked at the manifest, then at the gate, then back at the dad. Asterisk, you're not even booked on this flight. Asterisk, no, the dad said, but I was going to try again, next standby. Next one after that. I just thought maybe ... He trailed off because even now, he wasn't trying to make a scene. Asterisk, he just couldn't watch someone else be silenced, the way life had tried to silence him. Asterisk, the blazer nodded once, clipped, tight, but something in his face softened. Asterisk, then he turned to the attendant. Asterisk, find her seat, now. Asterisk, there was a scramble, a phone call, a changed tone. Asterisk, ma'am, we've rebooked your original seat, please board now. Asterisk, the soldier looked to the dad. Just once, and in that glance something passed between them, not gratitude. Not charity. Just the quiet weight of being seen. She walked forward, boarded without a word. Asterisk, he sat back down, still not on any list, still with nothing in his pockets, but a crayon drawing and worn-out hope. But something felt different. The woman at the gate was whispering now. The blazer was still watching. A few passengers were murmuring, unsure why their stomachs had turned, because sometimes kindness cuts sharper than anger, and sometimes standing for someone else makes the ground shift just enough to make people feel it, like thunder that hasn't cracked yet, like a storm about to rise. He didn't expect to see her again. Asterisk, she was gone before the plane door shut, gone before the rain dried on the windows. Some people pass through like that, like wind over water leaving ripples, but no trace. Asterisk, he waited for the next flight. Then the next, no seat. By evening, the terminal had emptied. Families reunited, suitcases rolled away. The cleaners came through with carts and tired eyes. He remained in his chair by the plastic plant, motionless, cradling the last coin in his coat pocket like it might become something more if he just held. it long enough. He wasn't waiting for a miracle. He was just waiting for somewhere to be, asterisk, and then boots again. He didn't need to look. He knew it was her. Asterisk. She stood a few feet away now, hair no longer damp, uniform still creased. But her posture was different. She wasn't trying to disappear. She was carrying something, a paper bag. One of those little brown ones with a coffee shop logo on the front. Asterisk. I figured you hadn't eaten. Asterisk. Her voice was soft. Weather-worn. Like someone who knew how to ration both words and affection. Asterisk. He blinked, hesitated, took it. Asterisk. I didn't do it for thanks. He murmured. Asterisk. I know. She sat beside him. There was a quiet there that didn't need to be filled. She pulled out 2 sandwiches, wrapped in paper and still warm. They ate without speaking for a few minutes. Then she reached into her duffel and pulled out a letter. Folded, a bit worn at the edges. Asterisk. I don't let a lot of people see this, she said. But you reminded me of someone. She handed it over. He took it gently, as if it might fall apart in his hands. Asterisk. The handwriting was careful. Block letters. A child's, greater than dear mommy, please come home. I miss you. I'm being brave. Are you being brave too? Asterisk. Greater than daddy says I'm the strongest girl in the world. But I think that's you. Greater than love. Ellie. He held the letter in his lap for a long time. Your daughter? He asked. Asterisk. The soldier nodded. 6 years old. Lives with my sister while I'm deployed. I told her I'd be back by Christmas. Asterisk. Will you? Asterisk. I don't know yet. They sat in silence. Rain began to tap gently on the windows again, softer this time. Like a memory trying to return. Asterisk. You reminded me of my husband, she said suddenly. He turned to her, surprised. Not because you're like him, but because ... he would have done the same thing. Given up his seat, gone hungry. He always stood up for people. Even when he had nothing left. Asterisk. What happened? She didn't answer for a moment. Then, quietly, I got the call on my second. Tour, car crash. He never made it to the hospital. The words came like breath held too long. He didn't respond. Didn't try to offer comfort. Just sat beside her with the weight of it. Asterisk. That letter's the last thing my daughter wrote. Before she knew. We never told her, not yet. She still thinks her dad's waiting. She swallowed. I haven't had the heart to tell her otherwise. The silence wrapped around them again. Not cold, just true. He reached into his coat, pulled out the crumpled drawing, held it up without a word. Asterisk. 2 stick figures. A heart. Stars for eyes. She stared at it for a long moment, then she whispered. We're all just trying to hold on to something, aren't we? Asterisk. He nodded. Or someone? Asterisk. There was a pause. Then she looked at him, not like a stranger, not even like a soldier, but like someone who'd been walking through a storm for years and had finally found a dry place to sit. Asterisk. You never told me your name, she said. Asterisk. Matthew. She offered her hand. Sergeant Elena Reyes. Asterisk. They shook hands like 2 people meeting for the second time. Like the first time had been in silence. Asterisk. And as the rain thickened outside, and the airport lights hummed low and tired above them, the letter rested in his lap beside the drawing. 2 lives. 2 families. 2 wounds still aching but no longer bleeding alone. The airport had emptied again by morning. Asterisk. A low fog pressed against the windows, turning the world outside into something soft and unfinished. Announcements crackled every few minutes, but no one really listened. Not anymore. Not at this hour. Asterisk. He woke to the rustle of a blanket being pulled up over his chest. Not airport issued. Wool, military. Asterisk. She was standing nearby, sipping a paper, cup of coffee, watching him the way someone might watch a campfire, quiet, thoughtful, waiting for something to settle. You didn't have to do that, he said. You looked cold. Asterisk. He sat up slowly, wincing at the stiffness in his shoulders. I'm used to it. Asterisk. She sat beside him again, but this time closer. Close enough. Their arms almost brushed. Close enough that silence no longer felt like a wall between them. Asterisk. Did you ever make it to your daughter? She asked. Asterisk. He shook his head. Didn't have the money. I was hoping for standby. Just, hoping. She didn't say anything. Instead, she reached into her duffel again and handed him a folded piece of paper, asterisk a ticket. First class. I have military transport home in 48 hours, she said. But I was given this for the layover someone. Upgraded me after what happened, said it was protocol. I don't need it. He stared at it like it wasn't real. I can't take this. He said, asterisk, you already did more than most would, she replied. Let me give you something back. His hands shook slightly as he held it, a first-class ticket. The kind. That didn't just take you somewhere, but gave you the dignity to arrive like you mattered, asterisk. You could sell it, he said. You could use it, asterisk. I don't want to, she said. I want her to see you walk off a plane with your head. Hi, asterisk. She said it like a command. Like a blessing, asterisk, he looked down at the crumpled drawing in his coat pocket. Smoothed it out with calloused fingers. I don't know how to thank you, he said. Don't, she replied. Just get home? The gate opened an hour later. Stood in line while others shifted and glanced sideways, unsure what to make of the man in worn shoes and tired eyes, holding a first-class boarding pass. Asterisk, she waited behind the glass, watching, asterisk, when he reached the gate. He turned and caught her gaze through the windows. He didn't wave. He just held up the drawing, asterisk. She nodded once, sharp and small, like a salute, then he boarded. The flight was quiet, warm, asterisk. A stewardess brought him orange juice in a real glass. He folded the drawing and tucked it into the seat pocket gently. Like a letter to the sky, asterisk somewhere above the clouds, he allowed himself to breathe. To believe that maybe life hadn't passed him by. That maybe dignity could return in small pieces. The plane landed late afternoon at the arrival gate. His daughter stood on her toes, looking through the crowd. When she saw him, she ran. Daddy! Asterisk, he knelt, caught her midair, held her like a man holding the thing that stitched him back together. I missed you, she whispered. He didn't answer, just held her tighter. Asterisk later. When she was asleep in his lap on the ride home, he pulled out his phone, one unread message, from a blocked number, asterisk no name, just a photo, a little girl holding a letter in her hand, drawn in crayon, asterisk, and beside her, a woman in uniform, smiling, soft-eyed, at peace, for the first time in what looked like years. Beneath the image, one line, greater than she knows now. We both do. Thank you for standing. He didn't reply. He didn't need to. Asterisk, some stories don't end in words. Asterisk, they end in the quiet closing of a door behind you, in a child's head resting on your chest, in a heart that, for the first time in a long time, feels like home again.